aka Geeks.
Hey everybody, welcome to AKA Geeks and our movie review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows. I'm Sean. With me I have the other half of this show today is Lynn. Say hello, Lynn, please.
What's up, everybody? What's going on?
We have a big surprise to you today. We are going to be reviewing a spoiler review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows. I'm really excited about this.
Yay.
Woo! All right, so this is the sequel to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that came out, what was it, I think 2 years ago in 2014. And
Yeah.
I'll give a quick rundown of the synopsis that we have from IMDb. As Shredder joins forces with mad scientist Baxter Stockman and henchman Bebop and Rocksteady to take over the world, the Turtles must confront an even greater nemesis, the notorious Krang. All right, there's some things in that synopsis already that I want to break down, and I want to, yeah.
You just spoiled the whole film right there.
All right. First of all, the word choice in that synopsis, the last three words, the notorious Krang.
Well, that's all right. He's notorious on whatever dimension he's from.
Dimension X.
Well, never called that.
Yeah,
so.
I know. Let's get into. I want to start off. I think that me and Lynn and I kind of fall on the same area of where we feel with this film, and we haven't even talked about this film whatsoever. He does have kids, so he might have a different perspective of it. So let's get into some of the positives, Lynn. Tell me some of your positives, buddy.
Turtles look nice.
Yeah, they do,
Krang,
right?
And I'm not gonna lie. To be honest, the when it comes to Michael Bay films, everything looks nice, looks pretty. Backgrounds, character models, they look awesome.
They always hire good CGI teams.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna, there's no reason to bash on that, what have you. Turtles characteristic wise, I liked story as far as how they gel or don't gel. That I liked. The big battle at the end, I liked some parts of it.
Okay.
Specifically whenever you saw the Turtles working together in tandem.
Okay.
That's what I like about the Turtles.
Okay.
But yeah, that as far as
that's your positives.
Yeah. Well, Bebop Rocksteady.
Okay. My positives are going to be very short list as well. I like that in this movie they show us a little bit more of the Turtles in the sense like we're seeing more personality. We're seeing more of them working together in tandem, like you said. That was a good part of the film in a general sense in the overall scheme of things. I liked how the Turtles looked. And I noticed how I'm only going to say Turtles in this film. It seems like there was a lot of money put into making those Turtles look good. And my favorite part of the film, the closing credits.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh, no. See, my favorite part of the film is when Raph pulls up to the shore and he faces that big tortoise. And he's like, this is awkward.
This is awkward.
It's like that for some reason, I don't know. I love Turtles. So seeing that, and I'm like,
let me ask you this thing, because our list of positives obviously is very short. How did you feel coming from the first one? How did you feel going into the first one, coming from the first one, going into this one?
It's better than the first one.
Oh, wow.
And here's why.
Okay.
The first one was so every other character centric. It wasn't a Turtles film.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The Turtles were bit players in their own movie in the first one. This one was the complete opposite, where everybody who was a secondary character was written as a secondary character. The Turtles were the main focus, in trying to stop the plan.
I understand that.
Which I liked a lot better. Story-wise, like I said, it is better than the first film. Much better than the first film. It's like, let's be realistic. It's not
Citizen Kane.
Well, I was gonna say War and Peace.
Yeah,
as far as writing.
Yeah.
But it is. I gotta give credit. It is a better film overall. I have a lot of aspects that being a purist, that I just did, like I wanted to fight my.
When you say purist, are you a purist in the sense of you read the black and white comics or in the
Well, not
cartoon
only,
or
not
the
only,
original
not only.
film?
No, no, no. I started with the, Eastman and Laird comics,
Yeah, the black and white comics.
From Mirage Studios. Then I went to the Archie comics because those were based on the cartoon series.
Okay.
So and so there are a lot. There's a lot of aspects of certain characters that I just want to punch myself in the throat when they do certain things.
Punch yourself in the throat.
Yeah, it's like because I'm like, I can tell. But to be fair, this was catered not to me
No.
alone.
No.
This was
No.
catered to my up and coming turtle fan.
Yes.
And he liked it. Which of course he's gonna like.
That's
it.
what I wanted to get to is how, because
If I was to base my opinion on what his reactions were, it was a phenomenal movie.
and by
you know what I'm saying?
in Lynn's son.
Yeah, my 7-year-old, soon to be 8, she's in a couple days. But he's the next generation of turtle fans, and him seeing the Technodrome for the first time, and seeing Krang up on screen in live action when he's just used to the Nickelodeon Krangs, he got to see the Krang that we know.
Okay.
But yeah, no. If I was to base my opinion, it was like the greatest movie ever for him.
I actually going into the first one a couple years back, I was excited for it, but at the same time I was kind of worrisome because as much as I watched the cartoon when I was a little kid, I've tried to go back to the cartoon, and the
cartoon's
terrible.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
The cartoons,
and not for an adult, it's terrible. For kids, it's fine. And we kind of talked a little bit about this before we even saw the film, about how they always seem to win a fight or something without actually fighting some animal, like Donkey Kong threw while he was passing on the go-kart course or something, or like Michelangelo throws, which there was one of the seasons I was watching and Michelangelo in the whole season never used his nunchucks. He only used a grappling hook.
Well, if you think about it, that's what the '90s Turtles films were about. They were catering to the cartoon stuff.
Oh,
and, them not using their weapons.
So, like the cartoon, when we talked about that on the main podcast a few weeks back, I think it was on the main podcast, and going into the first one, I was excited. Didn't expect too much from it, and I wasn't too much let down. But I was like, okay, that was all right. I'm pretty sure if you go back to some of my YouTube channels YouTube videos on my channel, I'm pretty sure I did a really excited one for this film. Seeing Krang and Technodrome, I'm pretty sure I have one up there that's like, oh wow. But
I'm just glad I never did a trailer review. I actually have to do a trailer review for the 3rd international trailer for Ghostbusters. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't touch the turtle trailers because I don't get me wrong, I was hyped to see Rocksteady and Bebop, and I gotta give Michael Bay credit because no one in the 20 odd years that the Turtles have been on movie theaters has anybody been able to pull off Bebop and Rocksteady. And at least he was pure to those two characters to a T.
Yeah.
You can't fault him on those two.
Keep in mind, he's a producer on it, executive producer. The director is Dave Green. He did Earth to Echo a few years back.
Yeah.
I will say that from everything I've seen, is the characters of Bebop and Rocksteady are very like what I'm used to of them being.
Mm-hmm.
But going into this one, as the time got closer with this film, and I saw more ads and stuff like that, my expectations came back to a normalized level, other than just the first trailer. Like, oh my god! And then I was like, wait, pump your brakes, Sean, pump your brakes. And actually, I went into this one, came out of it actually more disappointed than the first one.
Yeah.
With all that being said, let's jump into some negatives. There's some negatives with this film, and we have to throw them out there. Let's keep this in perspective. We will have reasoning for. I think our reasoning is because. I don't want to say what our reasonings for these negatives are.
Yeah, I'm going to say even it's because I don't like it. I mean, that's good. That's pretty much.
I think there's a reason that kind of. There's at the we'll get into it when we finish. I think.
Yeah.
All these, but just tell me some of your negatives.
Casey Jones.
Okay.
All of him. There's not a single thing I loved about Casey Jones. And don't get me wrong, Stephen Amell, decent actor.
Liked him on
He's great on Arrow,
Yep.
but Casey Jones is not his bread and butter. Like, I put this. And what the fuck was the purpose of having him as a prison guard turned vigilante who has a mask but doesn't use a mask? So now there goes your prison guard job because you're never getting that shit back. So it's like it's one of those punch in the throat moments that I had, like, because I loved Casey Jones. Casey Jones is my favorite character when it comes to the Turtles, and this was just a second-rate, watered-down. I can't even call him Casey because I don't know who that was.
What was the other one's name from the original movie? Cotius.
Elias Koteas.
Cotius. He had a lot more edge.
Well, he had hair.
And he had hair.
Also.
Yeah.
And he was more What I miss about Casey Jones, and this is the key, is the sarcastic rapport that he has with the Turtles. There was none of that.
And the repertoire that he has with Raphael.
Yeah, but they switched it where him and Raph are at odds at one another, like butting heads, and him and Mikey are like, Mikey ain't the end all be all. Nobody's gonna like him all the time. Only.
I want to.
That's what I hate.
I want to throw something. I want to kind of throw something on piggyback one of your points with Casey Jones. With one of my dislikes, negative of the film is kind of when I realized, like, all right, this film is not going to be at that high level, whether it be writing or whatever. Was his "I want to be a real boy" moment? I want to be a real boy. He's like, I'm going to be a detective someday.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's like, I was exactly saying what she said. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
When she said good luck, I was like,
oh my God, I'm sorry, but that was such a pussified version of everything.
That's what I mean.
Oh man,
he was not a law enforcer ever in the comics or anything like that. He was just straight up badass, i.e., like the Punisher.
Kind of like a renegade.
That's how he was. He was a vigilante.
Yeah.
He was a Batman. He was a Punisher. He was a Daredevil. He's along those lines, and that's what Raph and him got along so well because they love kicking the shit out of the foot.
Yeah.
You got none of that here.
Oh,
none of that.
Don't go into that just yet. The other thing about him is he actually mentions that he has anger issues, but you never see them.
You don't see it. He was the most calm, angry motherfucker
he was
ever.
Smiling the whole goddamn movie. And he goes, "I have anger issues. I just deal with it with hockey or something." Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. What's your
when the driver said no, I like cage fighting.
Yeah.
The Casey I know would have punched that guy and took it over the driving.
Oh yeah.
He's like, "That's it. You're done.
Yeah.
Get out of here."
Yeah. It's
like, so he's one of my key pivotal moments.
Now, I definitely want to think that is a combination of things, not purely Steve Amell. I think that's writing, Steve Amell.
I don't think that has anything to do with Steve Amell because I don't think he had any say whatsoever.
He is the actor, but I mean, I think whatever it brought him to do what he had to do with whatever he was given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were just, hey, play it like this. This is how we want it, and just do your best with it. Karai, all right, she's played by a different actress this time out. And why was she even there? Can you tell me that? Because she had like 1 or 2 words.
How many scenes was she in? 3?
She's like, no, I'd say about 6 or 7. Anytime you saw Shredder, she was in the background somewhere. Whether it's, but I mean, Karai is such a fun and great character that did not start in the books, but I mean, she deserved a better treatment than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because talk about, she's not even D-list celebrity right now. She's like, you're a peon waiting to catch a picture of your D-celebrity. Uh-huh. That's what Karai is. Baxter Stockman, I didn't care for him whatsoever. He's like...
I'm not going to say I liked Tyler Perry as Baxter Stockman, but at least he was trying to act his ass off and do something with that character. It wasn't a good thing, but it was kind of like,
all right,
he's trying.
You ever seen? There's a YouTuber called Angry Video, not Angry Video Game Nerd, but Black Nerd.
Okay, I've heard that one, but I've never watched his stuff.
Okay, Black Nerd, he's a huge Turtle slash Power Rangers fan. I mean,
Okay.
die hard. And he goes on. He did a non spoiler review, and he mentions how Baxter Stockman is just him. Like they ripped him off. Like he's asking Paramount for money because he's Stockman's character. And to me, Baxter's supposed to be, this. He was not scared of Shredder for no reason. There was only one moment I thought he was scared. That was towards the end, and even then, he's talking back to Shredder like, "I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be known." Blah blah blah.
When they took him away to Japan.
Yeah,
whatever
and,
you said.
and I'm like, really? So I wanted, the sniveling little, sort of like an Igor type character to Shredder,
Yeah.
and that's not who he was. I mean, he was excited about science, but this interaction with him and April at the beginning, I don't know if I was insulted or should I have been insulted
It's one of those.
because
It's one of those things where she pulled out a pure stereotype,
yeah,
and that's one of those things where we've talked about in the podcast, where I've said myself in our videos that I don't like that crap when they stereotype us. I don't.
well, here she is
Yeah.
claiming to be a nerd, not a geek.
Yeah.
You know,
Because that's
Yeah,
what's
and
the
then
difference again between them, like
it's like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings.
yeah, or
That's
San
what
Diego
that-
Comic Con and what was it?
I forgot what he said, but he finished the sentence off for her.
Yeah,
But that whole interaction, I was like, oh my god, really? No. I was waiting for him to turn into a fly. Let's just put it that way. He would have been more better if they would have turned him into the fly and just left it at that.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens somewhere down the line because these.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
Next,
of course.
I know you have another one.
I gotta say, Shredder this time out I liked better.
Okay.
Basically because the actor is different, and I think he brought a little bit more to Shredder. Krang, man, was Krang on steroids because his voice was like super deep, super strong, like he's this killer badass. And last thing I remember,
Brad Garrett. Oh my god.
but the guy could play. I'm gonna put up a picture when this is about here. And he's a dork. He's literally a dork. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, really? It's like I expected Krang to pop out and like be pumping weights and like, what do you children want? The way he would talk.
Yeah, like in the cartoon. Yeah, I like Brad Garrett from Everybody Loves Raymond. I've always thought he's funny, but I thought that was a bad choice for the voice of Krang.
I think he could have done better with the voice and done it closer to something along the lines of. I mean, because no version of Krang is it a deep, monstrous voice, even in that body.
Yeah.
So, and I think they should have took that. And I don't think he was as constricted to that body as he's supposed to be, because that body was supposed to keep him alive while being on Earth.
Yeah.
And he's popping around, he's hiding behind it, and on top by the head.
I guess those tubes being up his ass is what helped him stay alive.
Well, I mean, goddamn, man, because what was the point of building the whole body then if you could just stick something up your butt and keep on slithering around?
And you know what's funny about that is that even when they powered down the suit, the cords were still able to move, or was he moving the cords? So either way, there's an inconsistency there with the power of that body. And I mean, by power, I mean the electrical surge of power, whatever.
I would say the overall purpose of the body is gone.
There's a big inconsistency with that damn body.
Yeah, because I mean, don't get me wrong, Krang looked fine. Like I said, as far as character models for this, on par. I just don't get why he's slithering around all over the fucking body, going from outside the stomach up to the top of the head, all over, and try to be total badass. And I'm like,
stay in, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Lynn?
I'm leaving.
Leave some for me. You want to leave some for me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So first of all, like I said, I liked the look of the Turtles, but only the Turtles. I thought Bebop and Rocksteady, they were true to the form that we're used to, but the CGI I thought was noticeably lesser than the Turtles. And I don't know if that's because maybe they wanted to make sure the Turtles were first priority or what, but I felt like the CGI on them just wasn't up to snuff as the Turtles. I just felt like there was a big difference. Like
I think they were a lot cleaner than the Turtles as far as
felt
detail.
like they were shiny. Does that make sense? Like
Okay, yeah, I can see that because around it's
gelatin
about the belly.
but the turtles had texture. Like it was like they got Bebop and Rocksteady in there before the last game patch or something, where they put the final textures on, So like when you go into a new area in a game and the ground is still loading in, it was like that. I felt like there was a noticeable difference in that. I did, like I said though, I do agree with you about the characters. I do felt like they were super silly and dumb, like I've grown to expect from my time with the show. I do feel that they were underused though.
Oh, they were pretty much everywhere though.
Well, you got a point there, but they were forgotten of real fast, I thought, and that's what I mean. Like they were underused.
I think come towards the final third of the film, when it starts to focus on the Technodrome and Krang, and after Shredder, disappears, they're pretty much nothing.
Okay, yeah, and then the other thing,
and they're like an afterthought.
They get blown up, whatever, when Casey Jones throws the thing in there, the grenade in there,
mm-hmm.
and he closes the door. But just 30 seconds prior to that, Rocksteady's over there knocking these damn things all over the place, flipping cars. But they're stuck in there now. They're stuck in there now.
But remember, my man, when the last thing they say to one another is like,
they say, "My man," yeah. So they're still alive. We know that, but they don't show them again after that.
Well, yeah, because I think that, and for them to be taken out by three little humans.
Oh yeah, I know they're not taken out, but I'm saying they should have concluded that with whatever happened right after that. Something should have happened.
Whether they get out.
They should have posted like something on a news article in the background saying there's all these damaging things going on. They're still trying to figure out what it is. Like they're loose, right? I would have liked something like that. I felt like they left them totally unfinished, and like that was kind of a weak sauce way to finish that fight.
Keeping on Rocksteady and Bebop, the one thing I dislike the most is the reasoning behind why they became a Rhino and a Warthog.
God.
The fact that Baxter Stockman has to say, "Oh, it tapped into our genetic DNA and brought up our animal side." I'm like, okay, so that you're gonna tell me that, inside of me I could possibly have between a roach or an elephant because it's in my DNA.
Well, I mean, for those of us who believe in evolution, wouldn't we all just turn back into like monkeys or something?
No, we would talk. To be honest, we'd turn into ectoplasmic ooze.
Well, yeah,
because since we all came out of
one cell organisms. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was stupid too. Okay, so like but that does give a reason for all the other characters you see in the cartoons and stuff like that.
I thought the Secret of the Ooze handled the mutation a lot better.
Well, I was gonna get to that later at the end all be all, because I definitely want to talk about that stuff, but I'll do it after that. Okay, so I didn't like the graphical fidelity of those guys. I thought Shredder, I actually didn't like the fact that this Shredder was noticeably shorter by like a foot. He all of a sudden now he talks. He has hair.
Well, he talked in the first one.
In Japanese, right?
He started, when you first see him, he's talking in Japanese, but then he spoke English in that same scene.
Okay, well,
so he did speak a lot. It's just... But the thing is, I agree that, he's a little shorter, but...
He was a lot shorter.
The armor difference, because the first actor was about the same height.
I would have rather had this guy be in the first one and be consistent. You know what I mean? Like, I would have been okay with it then, but it's too... Like, for me, it was, like, too obvious they built Shredder up from the first one to be this gigantic house...
And he had hair.
Yeah. Oh, he was bald, I thought, in the first one.
In the first one, he's bald, and in this one, he has full hair.
I was like, what the and he had scars all up in the first one, remember? All around the sides of his head. Like he's been through battles and stuff. So, with that, I would have been okay with this guy being in the first and the second one, because it would have resembled more of a realistic type of thing. The other thing about him was... Oh, shoot, what was I going to say right now? Oh, it was like he was short souled, He's in there the whole movie. He never fights. He jumps out of a thing.
It's like any moment he was about to fight, something happens that takes him out of it.
Yeah, so you don't see Shredder fight. You see him scare some people with some claws, which at one point they're really long, and then when he puts them in on the table, they're like really short. So like,
well, they extend because you kept hearing that weird slink.
Yeah.
That every time he'd do that, you'd hear that like where the blades extend.
It disappointed me that they didn't use him to the full.
I looked at it. It's like, oh, okay, so he's pulling a Wolverine from Age of Apocalypse. All you saw was like clink. Yeah, that was it.
The Casey Jones things, I had issues with that. I had issues with them taking away Johnny Knoxville as the voice of Leonardo.
I didn't. I had no problem.
I'm just joking. I'll put that in the positive. Not that Johnny Knoxville's gone, but the guy doing the voice was close enough that you couldn't. Listening really closely, it was really close to the sound.
I like the fact that it's all four guys that are doing the motion capture that are doing the voices.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And this guy, his Leo sounds closer to the Leonardo that's in the cartoons right now. So.
Yeah, it's. I felt like the biggest negative for me. Well, there's two things. We were talking about how in the third act, they went everywhere with the Technodrome. I kind of felt like there was a lot of portions in the film that kind of were all over the place that they didn't really need. They wasted time getting a video. How much time did they spend on Will Arnett getting the video?
Oh, I could have done with all that.
That could have totally been cut out. That didn't need to be there. None of that. No. They just had to give him some screen time is what they did.
But even if he still, he didn't take away from the Turtles centric,
he didn't.
But the point, I don't like the fact. I understand that they gave him, let's make him the hero so that way we got our justifications and we got somebody they can put a face to, that the people can put a face to.
I get that in the story of it, but I'm saying that thinking of the movie of it, like that's one example of other things they did in the middle of the film. Where it was like
it's not necessary.
Yeah, they went these different directions that, for me, detracted from the main storyline.
Yeah, I think she could have made the call, had him, and then cut out when he gets there and starts ripping out the wall and what have you. From the moment she ends his phone call with him, that's when you should have not seen him. Cut to the police department, and have him show up there. You could have put a little bit more turtle time in between that, is what I'm saying.
That kind of is an example for me. I mean, and there's only so many scenes in the movie. I'm not going to say there was like a ton of them, but there was a few scenes in the film, somewhere around in the middle, that were kind of like that for me, that kind of took me away from it. I felt like some of that human stuff with April O'Neil, which the best part of April O'Neil in the film was her midriff, which, on another point, I don't know if you noticed this, when they show her changing and shows her midriff. Yeah. Dude, she goes from wearing freaking like a jumpsuit pants to having long leg stockings on with the pants are gone when she puts the thing on. I was like, what the hell? Are you serious?
It's Michael Bay.
No, but they didn't show her stop and drop and then keep walking. No, she was able to beat the guy down the stairs who was already in front of her. She somehow was able to get around. So like some of the logic points in this film for me as an adult were a little too much. They frustrated me. That's what I'll say. And then
I love the Technodrome's eye. I'm glad that was in there.
Oh yeah, that was cool. The biggest negative for me, and I don't know how you feel about this one, I had an issue with the first film with there not being enough fighting.
Yeah.
In this film, there's literally no fighting. There's a little bit of grappling, and that's mainly what the fighting is them grappling onto each other. Leonardo swings his sword once and chops off the hand of Krang, and then he just goes boom, boom, like freaking Veronica.
Besides the final fight scene with Krang and the Turtles.
And it's mostly grappling.
There's Casey and the Foot, and then the Turtles hop in right after he's done with that. They personally don't fight any of them.
Yeah, and that's a very small, short scene too.
There's another very short scene in the police department. when the turtles are chasing after the foot soldiers that have the mutagen.
But
So it's like, yeah, and the foot, come on, non-existent pretty much.
non-existent. There was a few of them, and then what I didn't like about the foot, now that you mentioned it, was they're running out in the open in the middle of the streets after April O'Neil.
Yeah.
I was like blown away when they did that. I was like, are you serious? I was
No, it
like,
was nice.
I thought they should have been like, when they were chasing, they should have been out the rooftop. They're freaking supposed to be ninjas, or
Yeah.
they should have been through the rooftops and then dropped and stopped her, you know. But
Well, maybe during that they figured they'd use the foot that were in the '90s film, that they were just out in daylight.
Oh.
Like, I'll take it back to Secret of the Ooze. They're all just hanging out in the junkyard.
yeah,
Because that's exactly what ninjas do. So it's
hang out in
like,
junkyards. But yeah, no, the lack of hand-to-hand combat in this film really is the reason why I like this film even less than I liked the first one.
I think they were making sure that they were targeting the essential audience that they were going for.
And that's exactly what you and I were talking about previously.
So, yeah.
About some.
This one was more and I gotta say this harkens, if you could put this one online with the '90s film,
Yes.
it'll fit right perfectly.
I just
No. Yes. First of all, because one, story wise, it would fit perfectly in that. This could have been Turtles 4, with only just put the guys in the rubber suit and what have you, and it would have flowed just nicely with those three movies. As far as being the second in this new version of Turtles, because the Turtles hardly used their weapons. They were more of the snarky. There was more snarkiness to them amongst one another. There was more of a separation between them because you got that whole middle half where they split into twos because hiding secrets or what have you, and then out of nowhere they just come back together like nothing after the bottle's broken. So that fits perfectly with those films because the kids could see that and they're like, oh, look, it's our heroes.
disagree.
They're not killing or hurting anyone. Nope, because that's exactly what they did in the 90s.
I think that this one falls in line with what the comic book is, but I felt like there's a big difference from the late '80s, early '90s films. There's a big difference. Those they actually fought.
Just visuals.
And well, there was also the first one, which is, we're gonna get into this now, I guess. The first one's the best one.
Yeah.
That was actually a lot darker than the first of this reboot and this one.
Well, the only reason why that was darker, let's be realistic, we're going to break those films down. The only reason
I don't mean physically dark.
No, but I mean, the whole reason that one was so dark is because of the attitude that they gave Casey and the Foot and Shredder and Raph.
Yeah.
All the other characters were complete opposites to that. So where the setting evolved to that, and where April was light, Leo was light, so was Mikey, of course, and Donnie. All those characters were light characters. Then you have Raph, who's straight, I don't give a shit about anybody.
Raph, Splinter, Shredder, Casey. I don't think April in the first one was that light, because she, like those scenes where she's like talking in the voiceover in the first film, when she's talking about how she's relating to these turtles and stuff, and she's drawn.
Yeah, when she sees.
I thought that was pretty heavy, man, for her.
No, that was a lot light. That was her bringing us into the turtles' world. That was basically all that was.
I don't think it was that light, though. I think those have a definite distinction between this movie, and I think this one falls in line with a lot of the callbacks to the cartoon. I mean, for you, that's what it does. For me,
No, yeah, I agree with as far as the cartoon, as far as when it comes to the fighting. But if you put the aesthetics back into a '90s setting, like if we were to take all the aesthetics out of this new film and lump the old aesthetics onto it, it would fit perfectly story-wise and everything else.
Can't agree with you there, man.
So,
I can't agree with you there. But
because all I gotta say, Turtles 3.
They're gonna make a third one.
No, I'm talking about the original Turtles 3.
Oh, that one? Oh, yeah, that one. No. But when they came back with TMNT, the CGI one in 2007, that one was actually pretty good. I really liked that one.
Well, yeah, but
when Leo and Raph fight, and I think it's Raph tells him, "What makes you think you're the leader?" and all this and that. They're fighting on the rooftop. He goes, "The best." and he just whoops his ass.
Yeah, yeah, but that's something that's always, that film, the '07 film,
Yeah.
was based more to the cartoons that were going on at the
No,
moment.
that was
No, it was
no.
based
I'll
on
see.
cartoons that were
I'll
on
agree
at
with that
that
aspect.
moment,
With
not the originals.
yeah, I'll agree with that
Not-
aspect that it was kind of like the character design is like that, but it's carrying on the story from the first three. They just don't mention. Yeah, it is. They just don't mention the first three because at the end they show all the at the end of the TMNT CGI one, they show them in their wall of things that they've overcome in life. They showed things from all three of the movies. They showed the Shredder, they showed the ooze bottle, they showed the scepter, and then they put the thing from number 4, the TMNT movie, right next to him.
Yeah, but that's just putting nods. That doesn't mean the story
That was a
continued.
carry on
This movie's
first three.
This was not a carry on.
Yeah.
Trust me.
No. That one was a carry on.
No,
First three.
the '07 film was basically directed because of the reboot of the comics and the series that were going on at the moment.
They put it out because they put it out because of that, because it was getting a good reception on TV.
And they just put those three. They just put those 3 little items for Easter eggs. That's it. It's like you can't look at.
No.
They purposely do that. Yes, just like there were Easter eggs in this.
We're gonna have to look that up. But overall with this film, let's get into some of your overall thoughts.
Okay.
How do you feel about this film? Let's not take your son's opinion because we know what
I know. Yeah, he loves it, of course, but he's expected to love it. Me, it's okay. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It has a lot of faults for me. Has a lot of character beatdowns that I felt was just like, oh my god, I can't believe they did this.
Tell me a couple of the other ones because I want to know what else you thought about the character stuff. Because you said there was more of them.
What's his name? When they focused on him being the hero, I didn't want that. It's like
he's never been.
No, you're a lowly little camera guy. Now you're elevated to hero of the city. Why, if he's the hero of the city, does Shredder not go after him or send a foot after him? Here's this guy claiming to beat the Shredder, and Shredder being the egotist, maniacal world leader that he wants to be. He doesn't go after this guy.
Yeah, he puts his pride aside and says, "Oh, he's nothing."
Yeah, blah.
You would think he would go after him. Yeah.
Well, he would. Yeah. You know, the Shredder for the comics, or that's what he would do.
And the Shredder, and just in general, the comics, not the ones based like you're talking about the Archie comics, but the original comics are way.
Right. I'm talking about the Mirage Studios. I'm talking Mirage Studios.
Yeah. So.
And let's get this right. Shredder was dead by issue 5.
Oh yeah, he was dead fast.
So, yeah, Shredder doesn't live long as far as the Turtles' history. But yeah, like I said, it's okay. I have a lot of things that I'm like. But then again, I loved X-Men Apocalypse because the characters and what have you, but yet people are still loving to hate on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in comparison, if I was to choose, if I had to see X-Men again in the theaters or Turtles again in the theaters by choice, I'd go X-Men.
Now, but what if it was you had to spend a day with your son and watch one of the movies? Which one would you watch?
Well, he didn't come with me to see X-Men because I don't take him to see X-Men because I think he's still a little under the radar for X-Men.
Well, it's a little serious, I think, yeah.
I look for something else that's kid-related.
Okay. When we're talking about kid-related as well, I thought, surprisingly, because this film feels the way it does, there was two curse words in there.
Yeah.
Stephen Amell says son of a bitch, and then, 2 minutes later, he says shit.
Yeah.
I was really surprised. And this movie... What is this rated? Is
PG.
PG? That you can say shit in PG movies?
No, you're not supposed to. No.
Yeah.
But I think now.
Oh, it's PG-13. It's PG-13.
Okay, but even at PG-13, I think there's a certain number of cuss words you're allowed to get away with, and 2, they're like, okay, whatever. If it would have been past that, they would have been like, no.
At PG-13, those 2 curse words were understandable for me, but I thought it was a PG movie at first.
Yeah, so did I.
And then when I heard those 2 curse words, I was like, what the? They could say.
But you know what's funny is that with son of a bitch, that gets used as such a normal phrase. It's sort of like day-to-day talk that I think kids are immune to it being a curse word. 6-year-olds
stub their toe and they're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, and then the shit. here's literally my answer when it comes from a 7-year-old when they hear that word. Daddy, he said the poop word. And so I'm not worried about it. 'Cause it's
Well,
like,
I will say this. I will say this about the two curse words. They were actually pretty low. They weren't like
Yeah.
made a point of the fact that they said them. He said them like really quick and low.
and it was a
simple.
secondary character, so
Yeah.
it's not like it's coming from one of the turtles
Oh
themselves.
yeah.
That's where I would have been more peeved.
Just imagine if Raphael cursed or something like that because he has the temper. If he would have cursed or
Well,
something, ooh.
It's sort of like with the last Transformers film. That one I was a little bit more offended because they had the F word in.
Did they?
Yes, they did.
You said it.
Yeah, yes, they did.
Mark Wahlberg.
What's his name? Yeah, Mark Wahlberg. His
Really?
character says it,
Oh damn.
and
I don't
and I'm
know
like,
that.
are you kidding me?
You can't say that in that type of movie.
No, especially when it's a Hasbro toy
It's
line that
aimed
you're
at
trying to
kids.
sell.
It's aimed at kids.
Yeah, like
Oh.
so that one I was a little bit more offended. The shit and the son of a bitch. My kids know what shit is. You know, they know it as being the stuff that comes out of your body. So
Yeah.
other than that, not too worried about it.
Okay.
Once you drop the F-bomb, that's when I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really, guys?
And based on their PG-13 rating, they probably could have dropped it once.
Yeah, but keep in mind, the last Transformers movie was also PG-13.
And they
They
X-Men
dropped-
X-Men Apocalypse PG-13 they dropped it once. You can drop usually one F-bomb in a PG-13.
But the point is, you shouldn't need to add PG-13.
Yeah, and not in these types of films, not in the
Yeah.
Transformers or the Turtles. Which, speaking of Transformers, spoiler, Easter egg right there, freaking little Bumblebee. He goes, cool,
Here's what
dude.
when Ronan saw that, he laughed because he's seen that guy so many times,
Yeah.
the costume guy, and I said that's the closest you're going to get to a crossover ever,
Yeah.
ever, because that's the only crossover that's going to make sense.
I liked that because it was totally like, that was probably one of the realest things in this film.
Yeah,
You know? That was like the realest thing in the film.
but you know what's wrong for me on that is the fact that they get from what part of the town they were.
Oh.
Madison Square Garden. They were at Madison Square Garden watching the Knicks game to get all the way down to the east side at the Village to see the Halloween parade. Okay, because that's where the Halloween parade usually takes place in the Village.
And you've been
That's
there
not
before,
a quick.
right?
Of course,
Yeah.
that's you gotta. If you're walking the island from Madison Square Garden to the Village, it's gonna take you about 35, 40 minutes.
They weren't
walking.
They weren't walking. They were shell riding it.
I don't care. Shell riding through the sewers.
Yeah.
You still gotta turn to make sure you know where you're going.
And how
It's not a straight line.
How do they keep their speed when they're doing that? Literally, how deep down do these damn sewers go? Because they're going freaking fast.
Well, the sewers are below the subways.
Oh.
You know, so and even if it would have been quicker for them to jump on a subway train
Yes.
and go into the Village, that would have been more realistic and I would have more believable than fucking them sliding in the sewers.
But then they land and they're back at street level because they're 5 feet away from street level. Remember? Because when he
yeah,
gets up,
because he's looking through the grate.
and so
he
they're
goes up the
they're
manhole.
literally 3 to 5 feet lower than street level at that point. After they did all that crap.
Yeah, and that's not how the North sewers are. Because obviously he cannot just like pop a manhole cover. He's like, oh look,
There's a button.
No.
There's a button
There-
and you're going.
No, but the thing is, there's ladders,
Yeah.
because the sewers are a lot lower than they really are, and so
That was a ventilation shaft, maybe. I don't.
boom. It would have been more believable if it was like the underground compartment of a club or a bar that shifts open like that. 'cause
Where they get their shipment
where
of
they-
alcohol,
yeah.
booze, or something.
Because there a lot of places like that have that in the city because that's the only entrance that you can do deliveries to. But no matter, completely threw me off. Like, what? There's no way they would have made that trip in
the
time.
first scene that's because that's a long scene because they only split it up with the game in the middle, right? Where they're the basketball
Yeah.
game. The first part where they're getting to the pizza, I'm like, how freaking high were they? Were they in the Empire State Building or something? They are going down. For how long? How many seconds have they been falling down? They're literally tossing each other further down, and they're still traveling down at a speed. I was like, what the heck?
I think he did that specifically to mimic the 207 opening when they're on the rooftops, they're running and jumping and going through the and then they're diving straight into the sewer holes.
Okay.
That he took from the 207, because that was a spitting image of that with few changes. But no matter what, and two, when they're watching the basketball game, and the pizza falls, and the ref goes like, "Welcome to New York City." He's talking to a member of the New York Knicks.
No, he's talking to DeAndre Jordan, L.A. Clippers.
But no matter what. Oh, so it's a custom that slices of pizza are just in the middle of the basketball field of Madison Square Garden?
Yeah,
one of the most pristine buildings there?
Yeah.
And he's just like, welcome to New York
People
City.
are just, and then also the quality of pizza. You're talking a pizza from a pizza place versus pizza at a arena. I've been to arenas and stadiums and gotten pizza and things like that. They're nowhere near the quality of pizza.
Not MSG pizza.
I haven't been in MSG.
That's New York pizza, baby. No matter where you go.
So then what? You're telling me a real New Yorker would toss his slice of pizza on the?
No, a New Yorker would not do that.
Yeah.
My point is, the ref was acting like all nonchalant, like this happens every other game.
Yeah.
And that's not what happens, especially New York pizza.
Yeah. No, I don't believe that for 1 second. Let's get back to, because we're going off all over. Back to
that was a small tangent.
Your overall view of the film. I want to know what you overall thought of it.
It could have been so much better.
Okay.
I expected so much better, especially when you you're touting Krang and the Technodrome, and the whole Technodrome and Krang thing was too short for me. Was not fully explained. There was no development for that. He was just like, oh, here we are. And they got to him real quick early on in the movie. And they didn't flesh him out.
Nope.
So I'm just hoping next film, if there's a next film, flesh out everything, make it more reasonable, give it a nice continuity, and don't forget what you've done in previous films. People complain about the X-Men forgetting what they've done in previous films, but the Turtles are doing the exact same thing, only worse.
Yeah.
So
I think that they, like with what you're saying, if you look closely and if you're able to pause it, you can catch certain things with the whole Krang scene at the end with the Technodrome and all the other bad guys or people that he's dominated and frozen, like he did with Shredder.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, but the thing is, we're in a theater, and we're watching it for the first time, and they did exactly what you're saying. They didn't flesh it out. They didn't just say anything. All of a sudden, we know Shredder's getting teleported, and he meets this brain. And the next thing you know, out of nowhere, no rhyme, reason, or story for why.
Yeah.
It was So it's I had a question for you before we go too far away from this, because we're talking about Shredder. At the end of the first one, when he falls from the building and he survives somehow. I thought he survived because he took that vial. Didn't he have a vial of like an ooze or something? And he took a vial of it, right? Before. I thought he took the vial, or he was holding on to.
No, yeah, because I actually remember saying, "Oh God, are we going to see the Super Shredder?"
That's exactly And how could you be able to survive that fall without being some kind of like Super Shredder at that point?
Yeah.
So I was confused. I was a little. When they brought,
but that's that goes back to me saying that keep in mind to your consistencies of what you've done before.
Yeah. What would you give this film on our letter grade that we've been doing for these films that we've been seeing?
For me, my grading would be a C-.
Okay.
It's just because too many characters that I personally have vested interest in were not who they were. A lot of the story based on the big bad that's supposed to be the key element to the film was not fleshed out, and you left too many gaps, and you didn't even keep to what happened before, like I said before. So that's why I'm giving it a C-.
Okay. I think that you're hitting the nail on the head right there. Just with what I read in the synopsis when we started this video, the notorious Krang, that's the synopsis. Yet, like we said, they didn't flesh him out. As far as we know, he's not that notorious from watching.
Yeah, nobody in the city had seen.
The only reason we know he's notorious is because you and I have a history with this stuff.
Yeah,
which is not. Batman and Superman made the same kind of mistakes, with with believing like everybody just understands it and knows it. Not everybody does. You just can't.
Exactly.
It's not how you adapt the story or adapt the product into a movie where it's the first time you get to see something, especially like Krang, something as weird as Krang is. I definitely think that this film is going to be the type of film that little kids are going to want to go see, very young kids. As an adult, I love the whole Ninja Turtles thing from since I was a kid, but this stuff is not for me anymore. Not this stuff. I will go back and watch the original movies once, twice a year, like I always do. And recite every freaking line while I'm watching it, but not these. I would give this a D+.
Yeah, pretty much on the same wavelength.
Yeah. I came out of this disappointed and sad out of this film.
I guess I don't want to say disappointed because I think I had myself a little bit prepared for it.
You're right. Disappointed's a strong word.
Yeah, because I had a funny feeling that something was not going to pan out the way I expected it to be. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I look at it this way. My son enjoyed it. He continues to enjoy the Turtles. I have no problem with that. It got its job done when it pertains to him.
And I bet that means more for you, too, though. I mean, it helps
it's
enjoy the moment.
Okay, think about it. It's like when he was less than 2 years old, I had his mom make him a Ghostbuster jumpsuit. Handmade, completely handmade. With the toy proton back that I had gotten him from the original, real Ghostbusters line. And the littlest one, she was dressed since she was just a couple months old at that time. She was the No Ghost logo. In her belly she had, so she's wearing a little onesie with her feet covered, and then she had the little hat, the little white hat that had the point up. So these kids are growing up geek no matter what. So every cartoon that you ask them what their cartoon lineup is everything I watched as a kid and still watch today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the only new stuff that they watch are the new Transformer stuff and the new Turtles and what have you. But they're key things to stuff that they've watched previous, so they already have an affinity for. And they know the reasonings. He'll tell you he knows the difference between, which Turtles are what and why. So I appreciate that and the fact that it just keeps him more involved with what he likes.
Yeah.
And gotta wait and see. That's why they're both interested in Ghostbusters. The littlest more so because it's all girls, and she's like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah, that's
she's gone more Ghostbuster crazy than he has at the moment.
Yeah.
But he's still excited.
Well, that's the kind of aspect that you have that like I don't have. That kind of thought process is like the geek gamer dad. I don't have that aspect. I just have my nerd self from when I was younger.
But the thing is, and this is what irks me about the people that complain about movies ruining franchises or what have you. And this goes to all movies, the new Turtles, Transformers, the next Ghostbusters. They've all shared this. People have bitched and moaned, specifically Star Wars, bitched and moaned, and what have you. And the thing is, if you show appreciation and you have your next generation no appreciation for those same movies, they're still going to be excited for what comes new that's catered to them, but still know it makes no change whatsoever to what's come before.
That makes me want to ask: have you shown the kids the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They've seen Secret of the Use. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
The only one they will not sit through is the third one.
Yeah. Well, that one's tough to sit through.
They're like
that one's garbage, man. That's garbage.
And Ronan turns out
I still know lines from that movie.
He's like, Daddy, I'm bored. Can I go upstairs?
That one's not the best. Speaking of which, this is the next thing I want to ask you before we close up here. How would you rank, as of right now, how would you rank the 6 Turtle movies?
07.
As last, or where would you?
First.
Oh, first, the best?
I'm going from 1 to 6.
Okay.
07, TMNT. Then I would put the first one.
Okay.
Then I would put Secret of Ooze.
Okay.
Then I would put the first reboot.
Okay.
The first Bay film. Then I would put this film, but very closely to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Okay.
So
that's really close to where I would be. I think I would go the first one first, the TMNT second, Secret of the Ooze, and then this one and number 3 are they are swingers, man.
They're neck and neck.
Yeah,
they're neck and neck.
They're tied for 6th. No one gets 5th.
I mean, the only reason is, and to be honest, is because story was okay. It's just I didn't like what they did with a lot of the characters in it. That's it. And it's like Casey Jones is not Casey Jones.
Wasted.
You know, the cameraman didn't need to be in this movie.
Yeah. April O'Neil, wasted.
Krang was wasted because they didn't flesh him out.
But here's that thing at least.
No, April O'Neil was perfect. You could not. It was fine. Keep her. Keep her as minimized as possible. She's a supporting character to the Turtles, and that's what she was in this film.
As of this movie, a lot of these characters have been wasted. Krang, but and here's the bad thing about this right now is the movie's not making a lot of money. Did not make a lot of money this weekend. It made 35 mil, I think it was. They need to make a lot more to get that third one coming, where they can actually possibly maybe make up for these mistakes and flesh out Krang, flesh out some of that story. So they need to make some more money.
I don't know how they're gonna do it.
I don't know how either.
Guys, you
still have
Finding
X-Men in the
Dory?
top 5. You still have X-Men is I think the second. I think was second this past weekend for.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, you still have Finding Dory coming up.
Yeah.
You still have
Conjuring 2 is coming out this week.
Well, then,
believe me, that first one was very well loved.
I don't watch the first one.
Oh.
See, and I'm big on horror films.
Okay.
And I care less for The Conjuring.
Okay.
So
there's still some good movies that are coming out this month, this week,
Oh no, they're just this tail end of the summer. You know, we're just getting into the summer months, so I expect a whole shitstorm to come. And I don't think, put it this way: Captain America: Star Wars, Force Awakens just left its last theater.
Yeah.
This week, its last theater, and we're talking about over a year after it's come out. And even after the Blu-ray DVD release, it was still in theater.
Well, no, that one's not a year after it's been released. It was released in December. So we got 6 months. Half a year.
No, it was May.
Are you talking about Star Wars?
Yeah, Force Awakens was in May of last year.
December.
Dude, no. It was May last year. Right?
No, it was December.
No, December 20th. Yeah, that's right. It was that week of Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm
December
sorry.
December 18th. What are you thinking that's in May?
I'm used to most of the Star Wars films are released in May.
Okay, yeah, 6 months later, and it's still there.
But that also shows that our lifespan for films is a lot shorter.
Yeah. The
6 months, and even after, usually when movies released on VHS and DVD back in the day, those movies had long since disappeared from theaters.
And it took a year before we got the VHS, and it took us 8 months to get the rental version. Here's one of I've read about this before previously. They were to count in inflation with the old movies. The Sound of Music would be the highest grossing film of all time if they counted inflation with that. But that movie was in theaters for a year and a half.
Yeah.
A year and a half. That's a long freaking time, man. Captain America's Civil War is still in theaters right now, still doing strong. Jungle Book is still in theaters, and that's a great movie. That's still there.
Yeah, both those movies came out in May.
I know, and they're still in theaters right now. But I'm saying
that's a month later.
They're still going to take they're going to take away from Turtles, though. They're still taking away from Turtles. That's what I'm getting at, is that they're still taking away from Turtles. I don't know if Turtles.
But here's what I think is going on. Even if the movie does not make its money in the box office like it's initially planned to do, I think what matters to them, and the reason why, because of the short attention span of how quick they get released to Blu-ray and DVD. I already pre-ordered this.
Oh God!
Don't get me wrong. Today I pre-ordered this because I know Ronan's going to want it. So, and it's something that will keep him busy. But that's already up for pre-order, and I expect it to be released in a couple months. Zootopia came out today. Zootopia just came out, in March?
I wanted to see that one in theater, and I never got to.
We actually did. All four of us went. and it's the only movie that my daughter sat through and was like completely enthralled with.
Side note: is that worth buying? Is it worth buying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's Disney animation. I would never say no to unless it's a really bad Disney animation. So it's like, and that's few and far between when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's. I think.
Back to my point that I wanted to say is like, I think even if a movie doesn't make its money in theaters, they're looking for that quick boost in the Blu-ray DVD sales. You know what I mean? And I think that's what because a lot of people who won't see it in theaters will pick it up on Blu-ray or digital or what have you, because all right, now it's at a cheaper cost for them to see it, and they own it, and they don't have to worry about paying the $20-$30 for it.
Yeah.
You know, as a physical copy.
That's what Brendan told me. Brendan told me I'm not gonna see it in the theater, but I'm gonna buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out.
Okay, see, perfect example.
Brendan loves this movie already. He hasn't seen it yet.
But at least he's still saying he'll eventually see it.
Yeah.
It's just he doesn't want to go to the theaters and pay for it.
No. Which
not like somebody else who, you know, the chair that has no name that turns around and say, "I'll see it if somebody gives it to me or gives me a black market copy."
Let's wrap this up. What you said, Lynn, you're giving the movie. You said a C-, correct?
Yes,
and
C-.
I'm giving it a D+. We both think this movie has lots of things it needs to work on. We both think that this movie is good for kids.
Yes.
If you really love the animated series from the 90s, you'll like this. If you really loved the first film, you'll like this.
Like is the key word there.
Like, not love.
Just keep that in mind.
And if you're a grown adult, you might have indifferences to whether you like it or not. Because I loved the cartoon when I was a kid, and now as a grown adult, I can see like the stuff that doesn't attract me to this type of movie anymore. You know, so it definitely has its different target demographics.
Oh no, this is definitely catered to. I mean, unless you're some die-hard Turtles fan, and don't get me wrong, they're out there.
Oh no, I know.
I mean, no. I mean, completely like over balls to the wall. You know,
I know one who saw the movie and has nothing but amazing things to say about it. She loves it so much, and I'm just.
But see, that's okay. That's okay. That means
props to you, yo.
Some way, somehow, the franchise will survive with that small. Well, she better go see it four or five more times because she wants to keep the franchise alive.
Yeah.
I won't see it unless it's once a Blu-ray comes out and we have it physically, then I'll be able to watch it because I'm pretty sure.
I just got a gift of the first one, the reboot, this one, and I got it as a gift, and they got it from the $8, $10 bin. The Blu-ray. Yeah. So if this one gets that $10, $8 Blu-ray bin, I'll buy it.
There's even
it's part of the Turtle stuff, you know.
On Amazon, there's even a pre-order for a double. It's a box set with both films, and it's the collector's edition for both Blu-ray, the Blu-ray, DVD, and digital for each one. But it's in the Tortuga.
Oh, okay.
Garbage truck, the garbage truck, and they come in that. So I'm like,
okay.
And it's not that much more expensive than the actual DVD itself. It's only like $29.99. The 4K's $26.99, which they've already dropped. Those were $29.99, and the Blu-ray DVD, 3D Blu-ray DVD combo that I chose was $24.99.
They're using the same marketing as they used. I think it was like 4 years ago.
For the cartoon
series?
For the
cartoon series, they put it in the truck, all the DVDs, but they didn't do it as Blu-ray. They did it only as DVDs.
Yeah.
And so it's the same. It's the same market.
I would love to find one of those for Ronin.
I would love to go back to the cartoon and give it another shot. I just have a feeling I won't.
I can't watch the old ones. I can't. One, because once they got to Fox and Fox did the more faithful to the comics cartoon series, that I couldn't go back to the original ones at all.
Oh, the second one where the first time they rebooted the cartoon series?
Yeah, the first time when it was on Fox Kids.
That was I liked that cartoon. Because I actually still watched it, and I was in high school, I think, when that came out.
That one is pretty much the basis of every cartoon that's come after, even the Nickelodeon one now.
Oh, yeah.
The Nickelodeon one has a lot of elements from that one, but it has a lot of the fun stuff from the original one mixed in as well.
The clown
running
around kind of stuff.
Yeah, that one has the combination of the both.
Yeah.
And it suits, that's That's perfect because that suits him, and the Nickelodeon cartoons is technically what got him over the top
So
with the Turtles.
it's good because he can watch it. You can sit with him and watch it and not want to blow your brains out.
Exactly. Exactly. And because it's faithful.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, again, let's wrap this up. So, anything you want to add, Lynn? Any last comments? No.
Oh, not at all.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining Lynn and I on our movie breakdown review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Out of the Shadows. Tune in for our podcast weekly, iTunes and Google Play. Like, share, subscribe us. Check us out on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us, give us comments, let us know what you guys thought about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Out of the Shadows. And let's have a great conversation about that. For Lynn, I'm Sean. I'll see you guys later. Peace.
And I believe this week we're doing our E3.
Oh, yeah, this next podcast we're doing our E3 predictions.
Yeah, so we're going to get through the news real quick as we can, and then we'll go into our predictions for E3.
And we still got to do our movie of the week for this week. It is a group discussion.
Yes.
Group discussion.
Which we have to pick a movie.
Yes. So you guys,
are we sticking with the one I said or what?
I don't know. I just threw four options.
But Brendan hasn't answered.
We didn't answer.
Most of the ones you put up, I've already seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them.
So
well just throw some options. Throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks. All right,
we'll get to it.
Yeah. So for Lynn, I am Sean. You guys, we'll see you guys next time.
aka Geeks.